Hi, this is Elissa Kalver, founder of WeGotThis.org, and I have cancer. In fact, today marks 3 years of having cancer and living my best life with it. But I have the coolest job I have ever had. I get to do things and meet people that make my life so wonderful. And while I had a wonderful life before, I feel like I've really taken my diagnosis and freed myself to be as authentically me as I can, beyond anything in life that we go through. I think that redefining our idea of success is the most important thing that we can do. So part of redefining success is not just settling for survival. I have metastatic breast cancer. As it stands, I will have that for the rest of my life. Unless I get hit by a car or something happening in the meantime, I am going to die of cancer. So while survival is fine, thriving, living, that's the goal. I had multiple tumors in my left breast. And within a few months, not even, within about 8 weeks of being on my new treatment, which was a mix of chemo and targeted therapies, they were about 80% shrunk. But the problem was that even though the treatment was working so well on my cancer, I had the worst quality of life I had ever had. So I was making this decision to potentially voluntarily stop a treatment that was working amazing in order to risk for my quality of life. But I look back at that and I see my strength in a time of biggest weakness of my life to make a decision that ultimately could have taken my life as one of the biggest successes I've ever accomplished. On July 1st of 2024, I'm celebrating my 3-year cancerversary. Now you might wonder, why am I celebrating? I still have cancer. And that's because I want to redefine success. My life's mission is We Got This, but higher level overview, my life's mission is to redefine success. I am not a cancer survivor, so I prefer the word thrive. My goal is to live a full life, to live it fully and not just stay alive. If I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna have to have radiation on my brain, if I have cancer tumors in my brain, I am gonna go in the biggest hat I can possibly find. And I was watching Shark Tank, and that big hat was by a company named Noggin Boss. Everyone was saying, "Oh my goodness, I love your hat." And I remember yelling back, "If we're not living, what are we doing?" I feel like I made choices that I was able to make. I controlled the controllables. And I went on to redefine what success that day looked like. I think what fuels me is that energy to keep that going. There's always more that I want to do. What's so important to me is that people hear that and feel that, not just if they have cancer. That's not a prerequisite for understanding that we're worth living. And it's important that whether it's cancer or anything in your life, take a moment to think about, am I just surviving? Am I just staying alive? Or am I making the deliberate choice to live my life fully, the best that it can be, the most comfortable it can be, and striving toward the idea of thriving? So I hope that together as a community, we can help everyone and we can continue to live our lives, not just survive or stay alive. Cancer sucks, but together, we got this. So to set the stage, yes, I have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. I still do. I always will, as things stand now. I know I have the long hair now. I think I looked okay bald, but thank you, appreciate it. I have been in treatment for over 3 years now, and I'm still in chemo right now. I just don't lose my hair with my current treatment. But I've learned throughout my experience to figure out how I can continue to be myself and live my life regardless of the scenario. And cancer is just that piece that we fill in the blank there. So I'm gonna go into more depth on that, but there's a QR code in the corner. If any of you get bored and you feel like doing something, do that. You can check out, I wrote a book recently that we just started pre-sales for, and it's all about this idea of redefining success. So if you wanna learn more about that, that's going to be there throughout for you, and we'll send follow-up information as well. So I wanted to talk a bit with you all about this idea of surviving versus thriving. So we'll get more into that. Why beating cancer and being cured of cancer isn't my ultimate goal. I'm going to get into more details on why that is. about this whole idea of the we and the community of We Got This. The gift of specificity. We Got This is the first nonprofit gift registry for cancer patients, like a baby or wedding registry. So we'll talk a little bit more about why that makes our lives a whole lot easier, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Awareness versus prevention, and we're really here to live, not just survive and stay alive. And I want to talk a bit more about that and what might be on your living list. I'll give you a few examples from mine. Sound good? All right, well, appreciate you guys coming out. So to get started, there's a huge difference to me of surviving versus thriving, right? So when you're diagnosed with cancer, we talk a lot about being a survivor, you know, and I think that's great. And it sounds like a pretty tough term, I like it. But then I thought about it that before I had cancer, my goal each day wasn't to be alive at the end of it, right? My goal in life wasn't to survive. I felt like that really lowered the bar that was set for me once being diagnosed. So I really identify and prefer the word thriving. I think there's nothing wrong with surviving and survivor. We all have different ways of kind of what we relate to most. But for me, it's really driving home the point that we're worth more than just being alive. We should be able to enjoy life with the people that we love and all of that as a big piece of why we're here. Moving to the finish line isn't cheating. And what I mean by that, and I said earlier, that my goal in life isn't to be cured of cancer. I hope that that happens. I hope that we find a cure for metastatic breast cancer in my lifetime. But if we don't, and I get to live a full life with my husband and my daughter that you saw, my friends, new friends like you guys, that's a huge success as well. And I think that a lot of times by focusing so much on simply being here, we lose sight of that. So sometimes the finish line isn't necessarily the cure at the end. It's being able to sustain and live my life. So well before having cancer, I actually did a lot of races with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for their team in training. And I did a marathon, which is something I said I would never do. I was a goalie in college. I don't know if there's any East Coasters here, but I played field hockey and lacrosse. Yes, at Babson College, if anyone, that's even more East Coast, small school. But when I trained for a marathon the night before, my grandma called me and she said, "Good luck today. I really hope that you win." And I laughed and I was like, oh, no. My goal is not to win, to win a marathon. That's like an Olympic athlete, right? My goal is to finish 26.2 miles. And only like 0.017% of the US population runs a marathon in their lifetime. And I thought about that a lot as I was diagnosed with cancer and thinking about what that finish line looks like. My goal is not to win the marathon, but to finish it is my goal is my definition of winning in life being cured. And that really reset that whole expectation for me. Let's talk a little bit about metastatic breast cancer before we dive more into that. It seems like a lot of you are familiar with breast cancer. Is that a safe assumption? Some of you may have it yourselves, had it, know people that had it, family and friends. Metastatic breast cancer is one that a lot of people, even with breast cancer, might not know as much about. It's heavily underfunded in the breast cancer community, getting only 2 to 5% of research funds. But nearly 100% of breast cancer deaths happen in stage 4, which means that it metastasizes away from the breast. So at age 34, I found a lump, and I had just had a breast exam a couple months before. I was a marathon runner. I played sports. I owned a gym. I had all the things that you would think were preventative and all of that for cancer. And unfortunately, I got it anyway. But when I was diagnosed and I found the lump in my armpit, my breast, I also found that there was one in my armpit. Turned out it had also spread to my liver and my spine, which is what makes it stage 4. At that time, that's over 3 years ago. And I went into my initial chemo and it got rid of all of it. I have to continue on treatment because that can continue to come back. I'm in my 5th treatment now, and I've had recurrences, and I currently have one as well. But because of the advancements in science, in the treatments that we have, I'm able to stay alive and live my life. And sometimes I have long hair, and it's a bit easier than others, and sometimes I don't. But one thing I just wanted to bring up while we're in Breast Cancer Awareness Month is that there are all different types of breast cancer. I specifically have metastatic breast cancer. There's HER2 positive, there's hormone positive, triple negative, triple positive. Some of these things might ring a bell or not. But just to get into the fact that we're all individuals, it's like a fingerprint. I'm not the same as another metastatic breast cancer person, and they're not the same as me. And I think that the best thing we can do is support each other in whichever category of this or anything else that we fall into to live our best lives and prioritize that. So going back to this idea of that beating cancer isn't my goal, just like the marathon, winning the marathon wasn't my goal. If it was, I would have been very disappointed. I don't know what 100th place I came in, but I was just thrilled to cross the finish line and have a medal. And this is me and my husband there. My husband actually loves running. He's about to do his 8th marathon. But that was us at the finish line of the LA Marathon about, I think, 7, 8 years ago. And then after that, I said, I'm never going to do it again. And of course, I did Chicago also. So I've done 2 marathons. I don't like running. But at these marathons, the leggings that I wore had the names of people in my life who had fought, were going through cancer battles themselves. And this was long before having it myself. So when it did come time that I was diagnosed, I had this huge community of people that I could go to and ask questions to. And that's a big part of what we want to try to build with We Got This and have built. So please stay in touch with us and know that it looks like you guys have a great community here, but you also have a community within us if there's anything we can ever do to support you. So success doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be winning a marathon or not doing it at all. And redefining that, I think, is so important in every aspect of our life. Cancer is not a prerequisite for that. It definitely reminded me more of that being so relevant and important, but I think that a lot of these aspects are things we face in everyday life. And I still face for things other than just cancer, right? There's other challenging things, unfortunately, in life that gets thrown our way. So make your own metric. Figure out what that finish line looks like for you. For me, my first marathon was to cross the finish line. My husband, on his 8th marathon, he has time goals and he has other pieces that he's considering his win. And that's different from who's finishing the finish line first. Finding your we in the community, like I mentioned, it looks like we got a really nice community here today, is so important. And when I was first diagnosed, I got the call from the doctor that the tumors were malignant. And I found out I had breast cancer, which was shocking to me. Because again, I have no family history. I've been tested, there's no genetic mutation, all that. It was really out of left field. And when I went to tell my mom and my husband, who were at the house at the time that I got the call, we didn't think I had cancer, so we had like lunch plans and stuff just to be normal that day. When I went to tell them, there's that awkward pause of giving someone bad news. And I filled it by saying, it's okay, I got this. I'll do whatever it is I have to do, whatever treatments, we'll fight it as whatever it is, we got it, I got it. And it started to not feel right the more that I said that. And that's where this idea of we came into place. So when it came time to have this idea of, wow, this is an area that really could have used more help with facilitating giving and receiving when diagnosed, when it was time to name the nonprofit, it wasn't I got this or you got this, it had to be the we. And that's something I felt really strongly about and still do. So that's my we. You saw them in the video. This is our most recent picture together. That's my husband, Eric, and my daughter, Ellie. She's now 4. She was turning 1 when I was diagnosed just a few days before her first birthday. And so, yes, thank you. Yes, they're awesome, and I'm very lucky to have such an amazing support. When I was diagnosed, it was right before her first birthday, and that's why it was so clear to me that earlier, over a year before, when I was pregnant with her, I had a baby registry. When I was engaged to Eric, I had a wedding registry. And then when I got diagnosed with cancer, I just got a lot of text messages asking how people could help. And how lucky are we to have support? But a lot of times, being able to guide that support of how to best help us in the hard times is a huge burden. And I wasn't comfortable at the time doing a GoFundMe. A friend did do a meal train, which was a huge help, but I didn't know what I could eat. I couldn't taste food half the time in chemo, and I wasn't sure which diet I was gonna follow yet. And so being able to just send someone a link where they can see what you truly need, I thought was something we were really missing out on. So leading into that and kind of this whole family and my community here, since Ellie was born, she was born July of 2020, so there were a few things happening in the world at the time that kept us home. We did dance parties every day. Like before every nap, before every bedtime, dance parties was a huge part of our life. And we continued to do that through my diagnosis, which came later. But that's a big piece for me that this picture represents is, there's a lot of tough times that we have, but we always finish it off with a dance party. So we ended up raising over $100,000 in this initial GoFundMe idea. When I came up with the idea for a gift registry for cancer patients, I think there was a lot of family and friends who just supported because they support me. And then it grew, and we realized that a lot of people that didn't know me supported it, which was exciting, and it really proved that concept to us. So we've had a live gift registry for over a year now. And if you go to wegotthis.org, it's completely free to do, and you can start a registry or find a registry. You can see people near you who might need help themselves. You can ask for help, and all of that is there for you. If you have any questions, you can always let us know. And we have lots of recommendations and resources and other ways to make you feel a part of the community. So the gift of specificity matters. When I was diagnosed, everyone asked how they could help. And when I would respond with this pre-saved note of just saying, it's okay, I got this, just you reaching out means the world to me, I don't need anything. Everyone wants to help anyway, which is amazing, right? And it also helps them to feel a part of this. This is a pretty shocking thing at the time that people's 34-year-old friend or someone's cousin that's 34, all these people in my life are experiencing something that's really their biggest fear, and they want to feel a part of it. So by me saying, it's all good, I don't need anything, everyone did things anyway, and I got 50 blankets. So everyone just sent a ton of blankets. I got too many blankets. And actually this blanket in the picture is one of my favorites. My stepmom made it for me and hand sewed it, and it's this really meaningful quilt. I still have all the extra blankets that I don't really need, and I appreciate them so much, and they're symbolic of people wanting to help. But it's also finding that balance in how can we help people that's useful and best for them without putting the burden on them. So that's something that we really want to drive home of us as a community, whether it's you needing the help or wanting to give help. Even as someone with cancer myself, there's plenty of people, unfortunately, in my life who also are battling cancer. And I want to know the best way to support them. And I can't know that without them being able to tell me.